What's going on, YouTube? It's your boy Christian, aka I Hate You Dior, and I am coming here today to talk about a fight that I have been very 50-50 on. I think the entire world so far has been very 50-50 on it. Some more decisive than others, but as of me myself, I'm still a little unsure about this fight. A lot of you might be thinking by the title, the thumbnail, and the timing. Yes, I am talking about Max Holloway versus Ilia Topuria. And yes, the answer may surprise you. I don't know who I'm picking. Every day I wake up, it's like my answer changes. Yesterday I woke up and I was like, oh, Ilia Topuria is winning that fight. Day before that I wake up and then I'm like, oh, Max Holloway could win the fight. Today I wake up and I'm like, oh, Max Holloway could win. Tomorrow I'm going to wake up and I'm probably going to say to myself, damn, but Topuria could win. And here's why I think that. We gotta look at Max Holloway. 26 wins and 7 losses, former featherweight champion, current BMF champion. What's there to say about Max Holloway? It's not already known. Coming off of a really amazing, spectacular, beautiful, I can't even think of words to keep going on about this, knockout over Justin Gaethje at UFC 300. You've probably seen it. Your friends at work have probably seen it. Your family has probably seen it. Who hasn't fucking seen that knockout at this point, right? But on top of that, we also have his fight before that, which was another beautiful performance over the legendary Korean Zombie. And then before that, he had a similar performance against the, at the time, undefeated streak. He was pretty high. I don't think he was undefeated, but he did have a really good record streak-wise up until that point. I think he might have had only 1 loss. I'm not too sure, but I'm talking about Arnold Allen in that case. Coming off of 3 really good wins against Arnold Allen, Justin Gaethje, and Korean Zombie. Former featherweight champion, before those wins, did come off a really brutal loss against Alexander Volkanovski, but we gotta look at that fight for what it was. Going back to those previous fights I said about Max Holloway, the most recent one, comparing those to his Alexander Volkanovski fight, you can see a lot of differences in the way he's game planning and the way he's going out there to fight them. Volkanovski's biggest things in the first 2 fights were to keep his distance, get him with the leg kicks, and mix in the wrestling, which he did in both the first 2 fights, which led to pretty close decisions and people thinking that Max Holloway won in the case of the second fight. The first fight, Max didn't really have an answer for those leg kicks. Second fight, Max came out, checked the leg kicks, and was throwing a lot more volume and getting him with cleaner strikes, but still couldn't get it done that night. Now we look at the third fight, where Volkanovski changed his game plan up completely. And you got to look at it from the point of Volkanovski's case. He fought this guy twice. Both times was a similar game plan. In the second fight, Max Holloway developed his style to match the game plan of what Alexander Volkanovski had, right? Come third fight, switches the game plan up entirely. He's coming out crowding Max Holloway, staying in his face the entire time, trying to get him with beautiful boxing combinations. And on the opposite end, we have to look at how Max changed his game plan leading into the third fight. Coming into that fight, the biggest problem he had in the first 2 was that Volkanovski was able to keep his range, stay on the outside, pick his shots, and look overall better throughout the fight. In the third fight, Max changed this up by trying to hunt down Volkanovski and stay in his face. In return, Volkanovski was able to get him with beautiful combinations, getting him with the uppercuts, pumping the jab in his face, 1-2 combinations, just staying in and out, mixing in the head movement with really good, crisp boxing combinations. Sticking in, coming out. Every time Max Holloway came in, he'd greet him with the jab, 1-2, and he was just able to catch him on the end of every single one of his combinations, which led to him winning that fight pretty dominantly compared to the first 2 fights especially. So what did Max do? Max changed up his game plan entirely. This you can see a little bit of in the Arnold Allen fight. In that fight, you can see Arnold Allen try to employ the same game plan that Alexander Volkanovski had in the third fight, but switching up just a little bit. And instead of him waiting for Max to come in and exchange with him, he would try to be fast and jump in and try to exchange with Max, where Max would catch him with beautiful counters, which led him to, even at the end of the fight, dropping him with an incredible right hook. Same thing with the Korean Zombie fight. Stayed on the outside of Korean Zombie shots, caught him when he was coming in with combinations. And in the end, as you guys know, and probably have seen, he knocked out Korean Zombie. And his most recent fight with Justin Gaethje, everyone's probably seen it at this point. Staying dynamic with his footwork, staying on the outside, circling around Justin Gaethje. He never stayed in the same spot more than once, which caused Justin Gaethje to be a lot more sloppy with his shots. Every time Justin Gaethje tried to exchange with Max Holloway, Max would stay on the outside of his shots, employ beautiful footwork, move around, and then catch him with the counter at the end of every single one of his combinations. And then, as you know, at the end of the fight, knocked him the fuck out in the last second. Last 10 seconds of the fight, you guys have all seen it. Max points down, trades with Justin Gaethje, and just clobbers him with an insane overhand and leaves him on the canvas face first. So we gotta look at Max's record in this case. Last 3 fights, putting dudes the fuck out. In the Arnold Allen fight, he didn't really knock him out, but if that fight had a couple more seconds, it would have been out for Arnold Allen. But before that, Alexander Volkanovski beat him in a very dominant boxing masterclass. And then before that, he had his fight with Yair and Calvin Kattar, and then before that was the other fight with Volk, and the other fight with Volk, then the fight with Frankie Edgar, then the fight with Dustin Poirier. The biggest thing with his fights, even back before the Dustin Poirier fight, leading up all the way to the third Alexander Volkanovski fight, volume punches, not the most pop in his hands, looking for more so a TKO instead of just knocking you out clean. And to get to that TKO, he would just crowd you with shots, stay in your face, use his chin to eat any shot given back to him, and just stay in the pocket with you and trade. That's how he's done every single fight leading up to his Alexander Volkanovski trilogy. That's how he lost to Dustin Poirier, and that's how he lost to Volkanovski in their third fight. Looking back at everything after the Volk trilogy, Max did change up his plan completely. He's not relying so much on his chin anymore. He's staying on the outside of the shots. He's employing really good footwork, moving around, sticking and moving with the jab, employing really good head movement. And this is how he's been getting through his last 3 fights. Now let's look at Topuria, because, ooh man, do I have a lot to say about Topuria. Ilia Topuria, 15-0 with 5 out of 10 fights coming by way of knockout. Coming off of a brutal knockout over Volkanovski where he did win the belt, and before that did have a dominant decision over Josh Emmett, a submission win over Bryce Mitchell, and then a knockout over Jai Herbert over at lightweight. Now Topuria, if you don't know, fucking cracks. He hits like a goddamn truck. A lot of people just want to say that Josh Emmett's the hardest hitter in the 145 division, and there's a case for it, but I sincerely and completely believe that Topuria is the hardest hitter right now at 145. This guy is doing incredible shit. He's going out there and knocking out Alexander Volkanovski, who was undefeated at featherweight, going out there and standing in the pocket with Josh Emmett, who cracks and knocks people out, going into his fight with Bryce Mitchell and out-grappling him, going for a submission, his fight with Jai Herbert, tanking a fucking head kick that would knock anybody out, and just going back out there and just knocking out Jai Herbert, out-grappling Ryan Hall in their fight, and then just knocking him out. Yeah, this guy is cold. He is a monster at 145. This guy goes in there like a pure boxer. I think he is the best boxer in the entire UFC right now. I think Dustin Poirier is a close second, but my God, is he an insane boxer. The guy's head movement, his footwork, the way he's able to bring back his punches, his speed with his jab, his counters, he is incredible with his boxing. On top of that, he is a heavy hitter. If you stand there with Ilia Topuria, he is going to put everything into his shot to knock you out, which is going to be a key to victory for Max Holloway. But I'm going to get more into that later on in the video. Going back to Ilia Topuria, knocking guys out at 145. Insane power in his hands. Punches like a truck. Puts people to sleep. Amazing grappling skills. People forget that his base originally was grappling. The guy grew up as a wrestler, went into his MMA career as a submission guy. Most of his wins are by submission. He only has 2 decisions on his record, with 8 wins coming by decision and then the other 5 coming by way of knockout. Bar none, this guy is probably one of the most complete fighters in the UFC, second to maybe Islam Makhachev. If he beats Max Holloway Saturday night, I think he's a pound for pound number 2 easily. You don't go out there and beat the former pound for pound number 1 guy and then knock out the pound for pound former featherweight champion who's never been knocked out before and is on a crazy streak. Yeah, nah, you're pound for pound number 2, buddy. I think all that's really left for him after this is maybe a fight with Diego Lopez. After that, I completely support him moving up to 155, letting the division figure itself out, and fighting Islam for the 155 belt. Or Arman, because they are fighting pretty soon in supposedly January, but we're not talking about that fight this video. We're talking about Holloway and Topuria. Now, one thing for Topuria, I will say that I can't see Max capitalizing on. Topuria overcommits to shots a lot of the time, which leads to him getting countered. This is what led him getting head kicked by Jai Herbert, and this has led him getting tagged up in a lot of his other fights as well. In his fight against Bryce Mitchell was able to capitalize on him overcommitting to shots by countering him and trying to stick him moving with the volume. And these are all just things that I see Max Holloway taking advantage of too. Even in the Alexander Volkanovski fight, people forget how close that fight is and they only really remember the knockout. Volk won the first round pretty clearly. He was getting Topuria with the better shots. He was staying on the outside of Topuria's combinations. He was getting him with the leg kicks. body kicks, even a head kick at one point. He was tagging him up with the shots. In second round, it all changed. He got backed up against the cage and planted against a guy like Ilia Topuria, who overcommits to his shots, and if you let him, he will throw a punch to take your head off, which is what he did to Jai Herbert, and it's what he did to Alexander Volkanovski. Max Holloway needs to move. He cannot try to stay there and let Ilia Topuria back him up or crowd him, because I promise you, if Ilia Topuria touches Max the same way he's touched Jai Herbert, the same way he's touched Volk, he's knocking out Max. Case in point, I think the way he strikes and the way he throws his entire body into his punches, yeah, if he touches Max cleanly with a shot, Max is going to sleep. And I think Max acknowledges this as well. This is a big thing that people said going into the Justin Gaethje fight, that, well, Justin Gaethje throws big, mean overhands. What if he catches Max with one of them and puts him to sleep? We know how that fight went. He was able to stay on the outside of Justin Gaethje's shots, circle around him, and never stood in one place for too long, which in the few moments he did, Gaethje was able to tag him up with his shots. And that's the thing I'm the most afraid of. The second that Max Holloway stops moving, Topuria is going to try to take advantage of that, and he's going to try to take off Max Holloway's head. So he has to move. That being said, though, I think even if he moves, it still might not be enough. Because the way I see the fight playing out, I see it playing out similar to the second Volkanovski fight. I see at the end of the first round, Max may have overextended a bit. Boom, Topuria's catching him with a clean shot. The kind of shot that the judges are looking for to score the round. They might give him the round in that favor. Next round, Max Holloway might win, have a lot of clean shots. Okay, Max is winning the second round, they're 1-1 in the third. Topuria starts mixing in the grappling. Although Max Holloway has a really good takedown defense, Topuria has a really mean double, and the same way grapplers have the threat of the takedown, Topuria has a threat of the strike. If you focus too much on his boxing, he's going to try to take you down to the ground, and I see that being a way he gets Max down. Max, however, is a lot more experienced than Topuria, so he might be expecting that. Who knows? But even then, I feel like if he's able to catch Max Holloway and stun him for just a bit, he could take him down to the ground and he could win a round or two off of that. I even see in the fifth round it being close enough that both men may not know what to do, and the judges will give it to whoever has the cleanest strikes. So I honestly see Topuria winning this by maybe a 49-47, but that's not a confident prediction whatsoever. It's like I told you at the start of the video. Every day I wake up, I think to myself, who's going to win this fight? And I just flip-flop sides every single day. One thing I am pretty confident in, however, is last 10 seconds of the fight, someone's pointing to the ground and they're going to trade. If that happens, Max is getting put to sleep. He needs to move his head so very well in that occurrence that Ilia can't touch him. Because if Ilia touches him, standing right there in the pocket, planted completely, looking for big strikes, just throwing everything he has in the last 10 seconds, if he touches Max, Max is out. But the same can be said for Topuria. Going back to my previous point of Max's last 3 fights, all coming by either way of knockout or a decision where he dropped the opponent badly, Max has been putting some pop in his shots. In his fight with Gaethje, he was catching him with some shit every time Gaethje jumped in there with him, and he was able to rock Gaethje every time he exchanged with him. And this is going back even earlier when I was talking about the Volk fight. The third Volk fight was a lot of Max trying to stay in his face and crowd him with the volume. Max doesn't fight like that anymore. He's staying on the outside, trying to find the right shots, trying to find moments where he could sink down and get you with a power shot. We've seen Topuria rock. We've never seen him knocked out before. Max is very dynamic when it comes to punches and kicks, has really good timing and really good counters as well. If we look at one more time, Topuria's fight with Jai Herbert, Topuria tried getting Jai Herbert while overextending on his shots. Jai Herbert capitalized and caught him with a head kick at the right time, dropping Topuria. I'm not saying I see Max Holloway doing this exact same thing. He's throwing spinning kicks. He's throwing spinning elbows. He's trying to get you with the gut with a spinning body kick, spinning head kick. He could catch him the same way he caught Justin Gaethje, because at the end of the first round, as we all may know, he did break Justin Gaethje's nose with a jumping, spinning head kick. But now, how did he catch Gaethje with that? Gaethje was having a hard time in the first round trying to gauge Max's distance. Every time he came into that void with Max, Max was able to capitalize and just pop him with the jab or pop him with the cross. At the end of the first round, he tried hawking Max down. And Max capitalized on one of Gaethje's biggest ticks when he drops his head and tries to go for a punch to cut the distance. He took advantage of that and caught him with that spinning head kick in the perfect moment once Gaethje ducked his head. So Max's timing is there, his power is there. He has all the tools to beat Topuria. It's close, man. It's so close. I don't know who can win this, and quite frankly, I'm scared for Max because there is such a high possibility in this fight that Max goes to sleep. I felt so confident against the Justin Gaethje-Max Holloway fight. I knew that Max Holloway was going to win because he was a lot faster, a lot more dynamic, and he was able to move on the outside of Justin Gaethje. He could do the same thing against Topuria, but Topuria is improving. He's young, he's fast, he's a dog. He's going to go in there with the perfect game plan to take Max's head off. We got to see what Max's game plan is, and that's what it comes down to Saturday night. Who's going to be able to impose their will? Who's going to be able to have the better game plan? I'm going with Topuria. In a fight like that, it's tricky because you got to go with the guy that's going to look better in the eyes of the judges. Because chances are, yeah, he knocks out Max Holloway, but it's a very high likelihood that they go the full 5 rounds. When he fought Josh Emmett, he wasn't trying to overextend on some of his shots with Josh Emmett because he was afraid of Josh Emmett's power. He said this himself. He didn't want to be in there in a position where Josh Emmett can catch him clean. He was putting enough power in his shots to damage Emmett over the 5 rounds, but it wasn't necessarily him sticking there and planning down and trading with Josh Emmett. That's what he didn't do in the fight. Is he going to probably employ the same game plan against Max Holloway? Perhaps. Max Holloway has some pop in his hands now. It's something he could take into consideration. It could be a threat for him, man. But Topuria is going to be trying to wrestle. He's going to be going for those takedowns. He's going to be trying to grapple. Max is going to have to look beautiful and just perfect in this fight for him to edge out a decision win. Now, is he going to be able to take down Max so easily? Volk got him down. Volk couldn't keep him down. Topuria is strong. He might be able to keep Max down. Once he gets him down, the ground and pound's right there for Topuria, and so is a submission. So who knows? But as of right now, I'm picking Topuria. By the time I make my full predictions for the video, my opinion can change. Is he going to knock out Max? It's probably a 50% chance on that. Is he going to win? The odds are higher than 50. I'd say 60-40, maybe 70-30. But I'm confident in Max. I was confident with him going into the Gaethje fight. Who knows, man? I might change my mind later in the week when I drop my predictions video. But right now, I'm picking Topuria by decision. So yeah, let me know what you guys think about this matchup. What do you guys see playing out? Leave a comment about it below. I'm going to be giving my full breakdown about the card later in the week. It's going to be a bit of a longer video, so please be patient with me with this week when it comes to uploads. I am putting my full time into that video solely this week, so there might be another upload along the way, but I'm more so focused on that right now. But yeah, if you like the video, leave a like. If you like videos like these, subscribe to the channel. If you agree with me, leave a comment. If you disagree with me, leave a comment. If you subscribe, turn on post notifications so you get notified every time I upload a new video. One more time, I am looking for daily uploads, if not every other day. Just this week's a little tricky with the card like this on our hands. So if you liked the video, let me know how much you liked it, and I'm going to see you guys in the next video. Peace.